Hey, it's Jay, Co-Lantern. It's spooky season, which I will celebrate in my own specific way because I don't really like horror movies or costumes. I do like goofy 70s TV movies though, and I've got another early appearance of Jeff Goldblum and a special guest star for this one, Football Hall of Famer Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus was a linebacker for the Chicago Bears from 1965 to 1973. He was very popular, going to the Pro Bowl 9 times, awarded the Defensive Player of the Year twice, and considered by some the best linebacker in NHL history. Due to health issues, he was forced to retire at 31, and transitioned into advertising and television, being a constant presence on television from the 70s through the 90s, both in scripted shows and commercials, sometimes as himself, sometimes as just a guy who looks like Dick Butkus. He mostly stopped working after his run as the second coach in the high school basketball drama Hang Time, spending his golden years in Malibu, where he died of a stroke in 2023. I had briefly considered making a video about him as a sequel to that weird Bobby Riggs video I made, until I took a look at his filmography, and it's a long-ass list, with a lot of different stuff that would be difficult to source. Oh shit, he was in Johnny Dangerously? I should watch that movie again. But I noticed he played a familiar role once, as Brom Bones in the 1980 adaptation of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and when I saw who was playing Ichabod Crane, I knew I had to see it. It turned out to be one of the most unique versions of this story I've seen, more of a comedy than a horror, and it gives us a happy ending somehow, which is an odd choice, but the characters are so charming that it ends up being a fun romp. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was a short story written by Washington Irving about a young city dork who moves into a weird little town full of ghost stories, and he wants to marry the farmer's daughter for her wealth. However, local Gaston, Brom Bones, has already called dibs on her, and there's a bit of a romantic rivalry between them. One night, there's a big party at her house, and Ichabod leaves looking a bit morose. On the ride, he encounters the local cryptid known as the Headless Horseman, who chases him for a long time before throwing a pumpkin at his head, and he is never seen again. Who knows what happened to him? Maybe he is whisked to the fairy realms. Maybe he died. Who can say? It's a paltry little fable, the story itself coming with a footnote about how it doesn't really have a point, but it's stuck as an early American folktale and has been adapted many times. Most adaptations are relatively short because the story is pretty short, not a lot going on. There are 3-ish characters and a ghost that is probably also one of the other characters. The dynamics just aren't there to sustain an entire movie. You would need to make changes to make it worthwhile. So what did this movie add? Our story begins with Ichabod being chased up a tree by a couple of dogs. The hounds belong to Brom Bones, local trapper, a real rough customer who wants you to know how tough and manly he is.
I'm the new schoolmaster. Would you be so kind as to...
That's so? Well, I'm Brom Bones. Half horse, half bear, and 2/3 wildcat. I'm tougher than old moose meat and meaner than turpentine tonic.
And he and his little yes man Fred are assholes to Ichabod because Ichabod's a dork. No real reason, they just felt like it. Then old man Vanderhoof comes by to pick up Ichabod and give him a ride into town, but only if Ichabod confirms that he's a bachelor.
You must be Mr. Vanderhoof?
If you're not a married man, get in. Widows make the best wives. That's a good thing for a bachelor to keep in mind.
Boy, I wonder if there's anything on this guy's mind. They arrive at the schoolhouse where Ichabod is to live and teach the town's children. It's a crap gig, but Ichabod is a very earnest dork and is excited about his new job. He scampers onto the roof to get down a child's hat and tumbles off the roof directly onto Katrina, the daughter of town leader Squire Van Tassel. It's a meet-cute situation for sure. Ichabod is instantly smitten, but he should probably forget about it as Katrina has been engaged to Brom Bones for years. Ichabod starts his career and discovers that things are a little strange in Sleepy Hollow. For one, he has to live with an owl, the reincarnation of Chief Running Buffalo, who watches over the school because it was built on a Native American graveyard.
Well, the schoolhouse is built on an old Indian cemetery. Grandpa says it's been haunted for years by spirits from the past.
I feel compelled to point out that this story is set in the early 19th century, when the original tribes who once lived on this land were still actively being displaced. I guess my point is that this movie is pretty terrible about Native American stuff. The whole era was, really. It's rough. And then there's the Headless Horseman, who stalks the night, frightening all the townsfolk. But Ichabod is unconcerned about how haunted this schoolhouse is because he doesn't believe in ghosts. There's a rational explanation for everything. He's not worried about the curse that has driven off 3 previous schoolmasters, including sending poor Winthrop Palmer off the road to his death, and won't countenance any superstitious drivel.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
Also, I think the reason Winthrop Palmer went missing might have something to do with Brom Bones beating his ass in the street.
Brom Bones assaulted the schoolmaster just for looking at Miss Van Tassel?
Assaulted, peppered, and roasted him, too.
Ichabod has supper at the Vanderhoof house, where he meets Thelma, the old man's widowed daughter. That explains why this guy will not stop talking about how Ichabod should get married.
There, you see, I said she'd like you. You're a lucky fellow. My Thelma's a fine figure of a woman. Turn around once or twice so he can see you ain't got no sharp corners.
Oh, Papa, you're terrible.
And Thelma does seem like a nice lady. I was a little concerned she'd be like this character from the Disney cartoon, but no, she is rad as hell with her own wants and needs, and one of them is wanting to jump Brom's bones.
By golly, missus, you handle your end of a misery whip better than most men folks I know.
All a matter of harmony and rhythm. You and me just naturally seem cut out for a double harness, Brown Bones.
Now, Thelma, you gotta stop talking like that. You know I'm fixing to get hitched up with Katrina one of these days.
You've been saying that for years, and there ain't none of us getting any younger. Besides, Katrina Van Tassel wouldn't know how to handle a big old bear of a man like you.
For reasons I will not speculate on, Brom isn't super interested. He'd rather stalk outside the church and get himself all worked up over choir practice. So he and Fred try to sabotage the entryway somehow, and instead Fred gets tangled in the rope and knocks everyone over, which gets Brom in trouble, so Brom now hates Ichabod more?
I'll get you for this, school teacher. You just wait.
That was 1000% Fred's dumbass fault. Why are you blaming the schoolmaster? Because you think he's making eyes at your lady? Alright, man, whatever. Ichabod is starting to fit in. He made friends with the owl.
I've got something for you. Want some bread? Well, leave it here for you.
Although he still keeps getting spooked by strange men who loom near windows and headless horsemen knocking him over at night. Mr. Vanderhoof thinks Ichabod is going to go wacky like the previous schoolmasters, so he proposes a solution. Ichabod needs to be married. Bachelors are too susceptible to haunting. If he gets hitched, his wife will keep all the ghosts away. He talks it through with Squire, noting that there are only two eligible women in the village, Katrina and Thelma, and Brom has already called dibs on Katrina, so Ichabod will just have to marry Thelma.
Now, what Ichabod needs is a woman with experience. Now, a widow, like my Thelma, would be perfect.
This guy is absolutely relentless with this. So there's a lot of love rectangle stuff with our couples preparing their nuptials against the will of everyone involved. Katrina decides that she wants a soft boy, someone who reads poetry, like Ichabod, and Thelma has been in love with Brom Bones her entire life, even before she married her dead husband. She only got hitched to make Brom jealous, which clearly didn't work. I don't know, Thelma. He's clearly not that interested. Like, I'm behind you, girl. The heart wants what it wants, but this guy? This fucking guy? It's because he's played by Dick Butkus, isn't it? I'm beginning to realize that Dick Butkus was the sex symbol of his era. Big beefy guy with a gentle smile. He's got a mustache. Anyway, the girls confess their secret hearts to each other and decide that they are going to just do a switcheroo. Then that way everyone gets what they want except Brom Bones, but fuck him. Ichabod comes home one day to find a man sleeping in his bed, an eccentric fool claiming to be the ghost of Winthrop Palmer. Winthrop was mercilessly bullied by Brom, driving him mad, his words, and now he wanders the woods plotting his revenge against Brom and just generally being insane, laughing to himself in the woods late at night, leering into nearby windows, learning the dark arts, I assume. I have no idea how he turned off the fire here. He demands to know why Ichabod is here.
Why have you come to this place?
I don't know. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
And then flees into the woods. An actual ghost shows up and starts pushing Ichabod's furniture around, causing him to faint in shock, or something. They imply this is a prank by Brom Bones, but I don't know how he did this. He doesn't seem skilled enough for this. It just kind of goes unexplained what actually happened here. Probably just a dream. Ichabod tries to explain the spooky goings-on to Mr. Vanderhoof, who just decides this is evidence that he is losing his mind and needs to get wed as soon as possible. The next night, another sinister sighting. This time, his place is trashed with a warning to leave. The curses turn Chief Running Buffalo into wood, and then a strange man walks in to lend him a book. This is Carl, Squire's assistant, and he gets the dickens spooked out of him by running with the Headless Horseman. Poor old Carl's having a stressful evening. Katrina sneaks in to see Ichabod and tell him that she wasn't avoiding him. Her father just forbid her to speak to him because he thinks Ichabod is weird. Ichabod will not hear these accusations. He has proof he's not weird, his torn up schoolhouse, and he'll take Squire over there right now and prove it. The schoolhouse is already back in order, however, as this was just Brom Bones doing a prank, and he sends Fred to get the owl back before it's too late. Winthrop Palmer is hiding in the shed and tosses Fred on his ass and then vanishes, and Fred somehow thinks the owl did that to him.
What kind of owl is that anyway? Just an old barn owl. Why?
Sure is a lot stronger than he looks.
Fred's not terribly smart. These two really have a Gaston LeFou dynamic going on. A couple of real dorks. Ichabod gets back with Squire to find everything is fine, and Squire just shakes his head and tells Ichabod to get married.
Get married.
This is quite a coincidence, sir. I was going to ask your permission tonight.
Not needed.
You have no objections?
Objections?
Ichabod is dumbstruck because he hadn't heard about Vanderhoof's marriage pact, so he thinks Squire just agreed to let him marry Katrina. Oh boy, some real shenanigans are going to be afoot at the winter ball tomorrow. There aren't, really. Everyone just snipes at each other about the coming weddings, and Ichabod and Katrina flirt.
May I dare to hope that my presence has something to do with your feelings?
You may dare to hope what you wish, sir.
I hope to make you my bride.
Until Brom pulls her away to dance, and then Ichabod sees Winthrop leering through the window again and collapses onto the pie table, which leads Brom Bones to lose his cool and tear up the place trying to beat Ichabod up. It's a real rout, and it instantly ends the party. Time for everyone to go home. Katrina pulls Ichabod aside and gives him the smooch, officially breaking up with Brom Bones.
It's Katrina Van Tassel. I have some words with you.
I've got some words for you, Brom Bones. Go jump in the river.
Brom is pissed, and he's going to fix this by pretending to be the Headless Horseman and chasing Ichabod out of town. Winthrop Palmer is stalking nearby, ready to strike, but accidentally knocks a nearby rope and gets yanked into the air, where he is found by Squire and sent back to the city where they will put him in an asylum.
I may be crazy, but I am not stupid. Lay on, driver! Enough is enough!
It's finally time for the eventful ride, with 10 minutes left in the movie, as Brom Bones starts chasing Ichabod through the woods as the Headless Horseman for about 5 minutes of poorly lit antics. Brom is about to corner Ichabod when a second Headless Horseman comes riding up, which Brom assumes must be the real one, so he's getting the fuck out of there.
Jehoshaphat, it's really him.
Brom Bones, is that you?
Every man for himself, schoolmaster. It's the Headless Horseman.
The other Headless Horseman gives chase, and Ichabod, assuming this is Winthrop Palmer here to exact his revenge, goes after him. Brom gets a pumpkin to the back, sending him tumbling off his horse and in the path of the Vanderhoofs, who use this opportunity to blackmail Brom into marrying Thelma in exchange for not snitching to Squire about Brom's hijinks. This is good, actually. I think Thelma will be good for him. Straighten him out. At the very least, I hope she's cool with Fred hanging around all day. Ichabod is still chasing after the Headless Horseman, begging him to stop, and he leads Ichabod back to the Van Tassel estate, where Ichabod almost eats it, jumping off his horse to warn Squire about Winthrop Palmer. Squire has already taken care of the Winthrop problem, and he's sorry for doubting Ichabod before. He now is willing to give his full blessing to marry his daughter, for real this time. Ichabod begins to protest because if that wasn't Winthrop, then who was that headless rider? But Katrina runs over and kisses him, all is well, so don't press the issue. So Ichabod shrugs, happy ending, while the Headless Horseman blesses their union. This is a really fun adaptation in a TV movie kind of way. It's not scary at all, and it's painfully slow at times.
Morning, Squire.
But it has some real charm, and the acting is a lot of fun. I think Jeff Goldblum does a good job, if a bit stiff, and Dick Butkus is fine. Nothing spectacular, but hey, at least he's having fun. The expanding cast is also quite good. Vanderhoof is a fun old coot, he says a lot of dumb things, and giving Katrina and Thelma some agency is rad as hell. Is this the best Sleepy Hollow? I mean, I haven't seen them all, and it doesn't have Christopher Walken making this noise. But it also doesn't have Johnny Depp, so maybe. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, starring Jeff Goldblum and Dick Butkus, aired as part of the NBC Friday Night at the Movies, one of those event night promotions network used to do to cobble together a bunch of small production TV movies into an excuse to do some targeted family advertising. The version of this movie I found included all the wraparound footage and commercials from this airing, specifically on WXIA TV Atlanta, 11 Alive. I absolutely love footage from this era because advertising was in that really eerie period where mascots were plentiful and terrifying, and people believed in the power of local television. The commercials from this block of television is charmingly varied, from entities local and national, mostly corporations, but a few political entities as well as station spots. Each commercial break was a new, exciting adventure because the things people used to advertise on television is frankly amazing. Here are a few of my favorites.
Welcome. Please feel right at home. I want to teach you a game called, amusingly enough, Stay Alive. It's quite deadly.
Charles, you gotta help me.
When Pa replaces Jonathan in the ring, he's headed for big trouble.
Gentlemen, are you ready?
A special 90-minute Little House Monday.
With me here today is a true friend of children everywhere, Ronald McDonald.
Thank you, Officer Pollock. Here are some golden rules of safety that I would like everyone to remember. First, accept rides or money from a stranger. Second, play in empty buildings alone. And third, if a stranger does bother you, be sure that you tell a police officer. They're your friends.
This cop bucking a corrupt system in the TV premiere of A Gauntlet.
Hi, how about some Quaker Cornbread?
I don't like bran cereal.
You'll like Cornbread. Quaker Cornbread. The benefit of bran, the great taste of corn. Well, see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Kellogg's Rice Krispies. It's the only cereal that talks to you.
See you tomorrow.
There are also really horny commercials, like two people sitting uncomfortably close to each other while playing a game of chess, a charged meet cute over Raisin Bran of all things, and of course the local bumpers are always interesting. Then there is the hosting segments, which only show up 2 times, once in the middle and then at the end, where we have to endure comedy bits between Steve Allen and Gary Coleman. You know who Gary Coleman is.
What you talking about?
But Steve Allen was the first host of The Tonight Show in the 50s, and was just generally around television enough that it makes sense for him to host a weeknight movie event. Their bits are extremely unfunny.
Better to play it safe, that's what I figure. Personally, I always carry a cross, a mezuzah, a rabbit's foot, and a Chuck Barris doll. No self-respecting ghost would come near me.
And they clearly didn't actually watch the movie.
Well, I knew the ending because I read the short story. I read mostly short stories on account of my height.
But I love their dumb little set, and all the weird questions it raises. Why are these two watching movies together, alone? Did Steve Allen carve those pumpkins himself, the maniac? Is anyone going to secure that door? What terrible joke was Steve going to tell before the videotape suddenly cuts off? Questions for the ages. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Happy spoopy to you all. Keep the spirit of Columbo in your hearts, dedicated to the truth, and holding rich assholes accountable for their many, many crimes. Bye.